Hello, everyone, and welcome to RHAP. This is our coverage for the show Jet Lag on YouTube. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong. YouTube show, YouTube reality show. That's what we're here for. We normally cover reality television, competitive reality television for the most part. But this is what Jet Lag is that it's basically a reality television show minus the television part. It's these YouTubers who have created a game that is Amazing Race-esque, and it goes up on YouTube, and it's really great. I've been an enjoyer of it for quite a while, as is my co-host here, Sasha. How you doing, Sasha?
So good. So excited to be here. The sauce is goated apparently. So can't wait to learn everything about Australia here on Jet Lag. And this is like Taryn, you and I would randomly talk about this show between our BB podcasts. And then I was like, oh, are you watching? Oh, this is like a thing. It's not just me, the weirdo YouTuber girly, like really into this. So I love that we have like the Amazing Race YouTube version. And I was also doing some research, and it looks like the Amazing Race and Taskmaster have been the inspirations for this.
Mhm.
So it feels really exciting. And if you aren't watching, it's time to get on this and watch this really fun, easy show.
Yeah, I mean, if you like The Amazing Race, or maybe you
Mhm.
liked past tense The Amazing Race.
Not the shade. First of all, I'm an Amazing Race truther, everyone. So don't let him do this to us.
Listen, I've seen every season, unfortunately.
No, not the shade.
No, I mean, what's really cool about it is that it feels very innovative
Yeah.
on the format of travel as a game. And if you are a regular viewer slash listener of my coverage, our coverage of reality shows, I really like talking strategy. I really like digging into the games. And what they do on Jet Lag is that they are both game designers and, you know, filmmakers to some degree. So they are creating the games and doing so in a way that is going to hopefully create good television slash content.
Yeah, listen, Taryn's here for the strategy, but if you know me, you know I'm here for the mess. And I feel like
Mm,
the way they are judge, jury, and executioner, right, of the content, and they talk about this a lot about how they create the game and then what ends up being the actual product, and they edit it as well. So it's just I feel like their characters really speak to me as well, where we have snack zones and it's just them eating random stuff. There's one person named Ben who's almost always the designated drunk, and people are incensed if there isn't a task where he's getting wasted. So it's just I find that piece to be so much fun because the three folks, of course, that are part of the jet lag team are Sam, Ben, and Adam. And I feel like Taryn, they're so different in
mhm.
their characters, right? Where Adam is a lot like you, right? Strategy is his focus, and I feel like I'm the Ben, where I'm just like the mess, and I'm here for vibes, and somehow I stumble onto the win from time to time.
Yes, what I think what's really interesting about the show, or one of the things that's really interesting about the show, is that there is no formula to it.
Yeah.
Every episode is completely different and separate from the others. So you go in, you have no idea what you're about to watch, when it will end, um, and it feels very fresh. It feels very fun to watch. I'm engaged the whole time I'm watching it. If you're used to watching reality shows, you're very used to formula. You're very used to, in the beginning, the episode starts like this, and in the middle it does this, and at the end it does this. And you know, you can probably just kind of vibe and like tune out at
Exactly.
points. You know, Jet Lag is a show that I think is really engaging. Episodes can be longer, they can be shorter. They tend to last around 5 episodes per season. And so it's really if you haven't even tried it, I would really recommend just giving it a shot. So that said, the most recent season, I believe it's season 10.
Yes.
So there's 9 seasons for you to go back and watch if you would like, and they go by quick. Again,
Mhm.
short seasons. Very fun though. And they're always filming. Like every time they finish one, they're like, we're already filming the next one.
Yep.
But this most recent season starts, or it doesn't just start, it is in Australia. And it's probably the most complicated version of their game that they've done yet. So maybe not the best jumping in point for us.
What do you mean? This is exactly what we do. We take the craziest thing and we're now gonna break it down for you. So if you're lost, great. We're here for you. We'll
Yes.
navigate through it all together.
And genuinely, I think one of the strengths of the show is how quickly they get into the action and that they
Yes.
don't overload you with information. And I think that's especially true on other seasons, where they'll just be like, hey, we're playing hide and seek. Look at him hiding. And then as the episode progresses, they explain rules as they become relevant. And I think that's a really smart way to do things. I think that loading up rules, like for instance, so I walked out into the backyard and I saw that this was a like not super necessary.
Trauma.
So I think they're really good at that. I think this season probably has the most amount of upfront explanation because this one is a bit more complicated. So we'll get into it a little bit and we'll sort of like judge how we think this format will work over the season and you know what we saw in this first episode. But Sasha, what are your overall thoughts?
I'm excited. So, usually how this well, no, that's not even true. Why did I say usually? How this season is working is that there will be teams of 2, and
Mhm.
sometimes we have teams of 2, sometimes they're individuals. It depends. And when it's teams of 2, Sam always gets like a guest. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter who it is, but there'll always be someone else coming in, and
Usually
then
another YouTuber.
yes, thank you. And Ben and Adam are the team. And I think that's why a lot of folks are very much like Ben and Adam, like, that's it. We're with them versus I think sometimes Sam as the creator or, the quote unquote boss, like has to, take I don't think it's L. I think it has to just be with the person the audience isn't quote unquote as connected to the jet lag
Mm,
audience at least. But this time we do have Toby coming back, which I
mhm.
find to be so exciting. And Toby, of course, is a YouTuber, and we have seen her before in a series when they went to New Zealand, the Race to the End of the World, I believe it was called. And maybe we won't spoil it, but Sam being paired with a woman, good for Sam. That's all I'll
Yeah, I think that's a good good connection to make. So basically how this particular round works, and previous seasons have done different things. They played
say.
tag, they've played hide and seek, they've raced to various points in the world. And in this one, they're playing a capture game where they've divided or they've taken Australia, the country, and sort of looked at the various uh, uh, states. Do they call
Regions.
them
Yeah,
regions?
regions, I think they said. Yeah, and it's regions. But it's actually states, but they're calling it regions.
Right, and because it's not exactly one to
Yes,
one, they
yes.
do have their own podcast where they explain some of the
Mhm.
game mechanics. Just for the sake of the game, they've excluded, I think, a couple, and so it's not exactly one to one. But basically, the country is divided up into different regions, and the goal is to capture as many regions as possible. If you have captured the most regions at the end of the game, which I believe will last about 4 days,
Mhm.
then your team wins. That's the basics of it. The how of how you capture a region is where it gets a little more complicated. But basically, you have to travel to that region and then put money down on it. And the person who's put the most amount of money into the region has the region, captures the region. And then you get money by either traveling to the region or by completing tasks, which will give you money. That's really like
Mhm.
the fundamentals here. So basically, what you'll see is that these two teams will be racing around the country, doing tasks, accumulating money, and then strategically investing money into different regions in the hopes that they will capture that region, because you can counter capture by putting more money than the other team put in to the region to get it to your side. And so that's how they will play through this. And it gets a little more complicated than that, but
Yes.
that's the basics.
Yeah, and listen, and we'll again, the more we learn, the more we watch, it'll
Mhm,
all work itself out, which is again a great piece about jet lag is
mhm.
you just kind of have to watch it and then it'll all come to you. The puzzle will work.
They are very good, like, so much better than actual television teams with a full production. They're very good with their graphics and with
Yes.
their explanations. Is something that I really genuinely think that, The Amazing Race could dramatically improve the quality of their show by taking a couple of cues from jet lag. One of the primary ones being just a little marker on a map, just showing where people are relative to each other and how they're moving is so valuable, because it really gives you a sense of where the race or the challenge or whatever the game is in that moment. And it puts you there so much more than just like quick cuts back to people or whatever. So they're very good at that. They've got great graphics. They've got great explanations. For this season in particular, they seem to have like stuck the amount of money and the amount of regions
Mhm.
that each team has up on the screen, like permanently, basically, so that you're always keeping track of where people stand at any given point. And this is another great thing. They're not trying to mislead you. They're not trying to be like, oh man, oh, it's 3, 2, 1. Oh, what they just did. Like they're just showing it how it happened and letting the natural drama from that play out, which I think is really good.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Taryn, I was about to say, right? Where comparing this show to something we watch on TV. And, when there's a lot of like, oh, the misdirection, Amazing Race loves that, right? Like, oh, are they making it to the mat at the same time? In reality, they're hours away. We know almost what's going on IRL, right? With the jet lag team. And there's still a lot of excitement. It's not like we're like, oh, shucks, game is over. Even when we knew they were playing hide and seek, and again, don't want to give spoilers away, but we knew the timings, right, of each person. And we're like,
Mhm.
well, this person kind of lost, like impossible. We were still in it because then they introduce another variable, which makes it exciting again. And as a viewer, you're pulled back in to watch more. And you're just like, okay, great. So how is this gonna work? And I think there's again enough of like them just being messy, which I enjoy. Like there's a moment where they're so excited, right, to um get to a clue station. And I just love they're like, I love this place. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And they're like, wait, I hope it's not a effed up place that we're just like celebrating to go to. And I hope it's not problematic. It's just those are the moments that make this show fun for me.
Yeah. Yeah, so this first episode, I think, as I said, one of the more sort of like information forward episodes.
Mhm.
So I do think this season got off to a little bit of a slower start than most. But I do think there's a lot of potential in the game they've set up. Because I talked about the way that, money is the key to this game. Um, you put money into a region to capture it. You also have to spend money to travel to that region. And so getting the money from the challenges is key. And in this season, instead of just doing a challenge, getting money for it, they have complicated things by turning it into a wager. You now have to put money up and bet on whether you're going to succeed the challenge. So, for example, you can bet $500 that you're going to win a carnival game. As that being the challenge, you have to win a carnival game. You can choose as much or as little money as you want to bet on it. If you win the carnival game, you get a return on that bet, a multiplier on the challenge difficulty. So if they think the challenge is really hard, maybe it's a 3 times multiplier. So you'll get $1,500 back, 500 of which is the money you put in. Or if it's a 2 times multiplier, you'll get $1,000 back after betting 500. But if you lose the challenge, you lose that $500. You don't get it back. And so there's always a risk to each challenge, and there's a failure state to each challenge as well, which again kind of complicates things, but makes it much more strategic in terms of when you bet, how much you bet, what challenges you do, and where you go.
Yeah, and they talked a lot about why, right? They decide to bet or to, go to a different region, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of it comes down to it feels like personality because every idea makes sense, right? Like, oh, should I stay in a region, compete with a team for same amount of money, right? Like who's competing and finishing the carnival game first? Or am I going to a new region? Because guess what? There's more money. When you go to a new region, you get $750 as a welcome
Welcome.
bonus.
Yeah.
But you have to be the first person there. So it felt really exciting seeing, oh yeah, why would you pick that? Well, what would I do? Would I just do this? I'll tell you, I'm never betting $500 on a carnival game.
They got swindled. Like, let's talk about it, right? Like,
Yes.
they went to a carnival. They asked the guy running the station, the guy whose job it is to swindle people into thinking they can complete his thing. And he was like, "Yeah, this is the easiest one. You'll have a great chance."
6 out of 10. So if that man needs to be like, let me get my lawyer real quick. Because the way he lies, you lie like a rug, sir. And when I saw that, I don't know if you're into this stuff, but Taran, I really watch a lot of like arcade YouTube videos. So as soon as I saw that, I said, "Run, abort mission." Like bet $1 and
Hmm.
leave. Because there's no way
Well,
because you had
well,
to
they could
do.
have chosen any game, right?
You're right, but none of those games are good. Maybe the bottle, where you actually have to, the beer bottle or no, the Coke bottle, whatever, that you have
Yeah.
to stand up. That could be a skill game. And
Hmm.
again, YouTube, you gotta www.youtube.com, and then you'll go how to win insert carnival game, right? Like there are technically hacks, but
Hmm.
you because Taryn, where have we gone? Which carnival is it that you have to do this hard thing twice?
Yeah, the twice thing. That's tough.
Impossible. You walk away. You cut your losses. Luna Park, you played me. I didn't like it. Nope.
Yeah, so Sam and Toby got off to a rough start here. They got a couple of easier challenges in, but they didn't bet a ton of money on them. They got really lucky with there was one where they had to carve an animal, a random animal, and then the
Mhm.
other person had to guess what you carved. And Sam got really lucky, got a giraffe, which is like I can't even think of an easier animal than a giraffe.
Yeah. I'm not an artiste. So for me, I'm trying to figure out how do I just do a long neck and you know what I'm talking about. Because
Right.
there's no way.
Meanwhile, Ben and Adam have chosen to go to a different region, get the welcome bonus, and then do some challenges over there. Most notably, they decided to take the big challenging one with a 3x and spend a lot of money, bet a lot of money on it, which was land a shrimp on a Barbie. And now, in Australia, they call, like, a grill, like a
Yeah, barbecue. Yeah.
barbecue, right?
Mhm.
But they decided to, in tongue in cheek, take it literally, and so the challenge was to land an actual shrimp on an actual Barbie doll, with, like, a distance of what, like 30 feet-ish?
Yeah, and 100 tries, but
100 tries.
which is crazy. Yeah.
And I think Adam was right. I think 100 tries, it's gonna land there at some point.
Yeah. It's can I just say going shopping for Barbies, my dream. And it's just even then, it's like the little throwaway lines, but they're like, "We gotta get the most full Barbie, and we gotta make sure she is this and that." And then there's a seagull that shows up, and Ben is like, "Great, I have to make sure I'm guarding the shrimp." Like, what is happening here? It's so funny, and I the I don't know, maybe we need like an animal counter because the amount of time these two are like obsessed with the different animals that keep coming up, right? At one moment, there's, of course, frantic Sam and Toby who are like, "Oh, I bet they're here." And Toby, who's amazing at math and astronomy and physics, right? And she's like, has this simulator basically that tells you how much you should be, betting, blah blah blah, all the chaos. Cut to these two just la 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 on a train or a bus, and Ben is just like, "Did you know kangaroos choke out dogs?" Huh? And then next thing you know, again, in this crazy, they're like trying to, do another task. And then Ben's like, wow, look, a wallaby.
The wallaby was very cute.
It was precious, but I really find this stuff so funny that in the middle of this craziness, they're just like, la, la, la. And it probably grinds Adam's gears that he's just like, I'm in the zone and I got somebody here.
I mean, my favorite Ben moment, not to spoil another season, so I'll be vague, but my favorite Ben moment was him accidentally, like, big braining Sam and Adam, at one point, like, completely juking them and
Hiding.
then being like, "What a genius," and him being like, "La, la, la."
Him just looking around vibing. But a king, okay? I love his energy,
Yeah.
but it's it's just so funny. And Sam again, I think is like known for, trying to game the system really hard and then it just luck is negative when it comes to
Well
Sam, like 0.
well, this is the interesting thing for me about the show is that, like, you're right. It's a kind of like a combination of The Amazing Race and Taskmaster. It's like
Mhm.
The Amazing Race if the tasks were way more interesting. Um, but like but throwing a shrimp on a Barbie doesn't sound more interesting than like an Amazing Race task, but in practice it is, because of the way that they show it, and edit it together. And so but one of the things I like about Taskmaster is, like, trying to game the tasks, right? Like,
Mhm.
trying to figure out a cheat for it. But it must be weird to be the person who designs the task. Like, if you designed the task, you're not really allowed to cheat it, right?
Yeah, and
Like,
and
you can't create your own loophole.
it's so funny because they definitely try it, and then they're so fair that they'll FaceTime each other and be like, "Would you count this? Do you
Mhm.
think this is blah blah blah?" And then or they would have been like, "Do you think the shrimp is on the Barbie?" Right? And the other person is almost always so kind. Because I don't know about you, Taryn, I'm very competitive, and I would think I would be like, "I don't think so."
I
I
mean, let's talk about this. The shrimp was on the Barbie's hair. Does
it,
that count?
Listen, I think that it just should have been the full shrimp. Even if the full shrimp would have been on Barbie's hair, I'm allowing
Mm,
it because listen, Barbie's hair, big part of her. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Like there's Barbie's design just on hair
Well,
and changing
I'm trying to think, like, if I am the Barbie
hair.
and
Ooh,
I've got a big head of hair spread out on the ground,
yes.
and somebody threw a shrimp at me, and, like, a little bit of it
Next
landed on
Barbie
the tip of
movie
my
coming
hair,
soon. Yeah.
would I think, "Oh, the shrimp is on me."
I would say, yeah, the shrimp has like flicked me. If
Hmm.
bird poop like lands like thankfully not on
You know
you, but
what?
like
That's
right
fair.
there,
If
and
the
then it
if a bird pooped on my hair, I would
yeah.
think that is on me. Yeah.
Mhm, and I think if there's splatters, right, which is how I see the shrimp, it's like it splatters, it's not necessarily on said Barbie. You would still say the bird, pooped on me, and that's a story for the rest of the week you're sharing. So
Yeah.
that but I appreciate that they're always, like, FaceTiming each other, even on planes sometimes, and they're just like, "Do you count this? I need you to answer me right now." It's just they just genuinely seem so into it, and I that's why I think we enjoy it this much.
Yes. So, there's a couple of different strategic lines of thought so far
Mhm.
with both teams. One is that Toby has found an airport that seems to be on the border of two different regions. That theoretically they could just go to that airport and then walk back and forth over the border, placing down money where they need it, at the end of the game, which is a very smart thing to do because being able to control both regions would be really valuable, especially if like say, I think the value of this is you have to then let Ben and Adam capture both of those regions, and think they have both of them, or at the very least that like their end game plans revolve around the fact that, well, surely Sam and Toby can only recapture one of them. Make sure you have enough to actually recapture both of them, and then get both in the end game. And I think that that could be enough to like really steal a win out from under them.
Yeah, and here comes Adam, right? Though that's the thing y'all really have to look out for because I feel like yes, I'm with you, Taran. I think that would be my analysis of all of this. But then Adam will, I swear, show up randomly and then be like, wait, 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 like, look on his phone.
Yeah.
Did you notice this Gold Coast airport before? We never talked about it in our game design, right? I feel like that is exactly gonna be the line too, and this always happens, y'all, and then there's always Sam just gets awarded every time, and I do believe that I like Sam to win, that's why that's my bias, in
Mhm.
talking about it, but I find it to be so funny because and I'm not like this is a known fact because even in this episode, there is a moment where they refresh and they learn, right, that they lost all this money at the carnival game. Adam knows the carnival game. Like, how'd you do that? Weird.
Yeah, he was like, "Hey, I bet they did the one where they try to throw it in the bucket."
And then that looks easy. And you know, and you're just like, how did you do that? Because this is also a really cool new game piece this time that they're all live
Mhm.
sharing everything going on where you know the live location, which usually, you know, if they're playing hide and seek, right, obviously only the seekers know the location, and you know how much money each person has, what they've done, like you're very much in the know, as opposed to like maybe a Monday morning quarterbacking the next like on the
Yeah.
layover podcast. So it feels really exciting. And I think that is gonna move the chessboard a lot because of this.
Yeah, so I was thinking about the strategy I think that I would want to approach this with.
Mhm.
I think normally with a capture game, the optimal strategy is to devote all of your resources into the minimum amount of things you need to capture, because any amount of resource you put into something else is basically a wasted resource. So if you just go, there are, and I don't remember how many regions there are total, but
8.
like
Yeah.
8 regions total. So you need 5 to win. If you know you need 5 regions to win, then, you know, a good strategy normally for capture games is I'm going to focus all of my energy on just 5 regions and completely ignore the other ones. Any amount of resources that the other team puts into those other 3, that's wasted time that will give
Mhm.
me a chance to make sure I have these 5 captured. Um, However, I think that the nature of this game might be a little bit different, where the welcome bonuses in particular are really, really valuable, and the travel distance and cost is really high. So, like, it will take a while for you to get all the way across the country to recapture a place, and it will cost you money just to get there. So, my thought was, if I'm one of these teams, I think the best play is to just immediately travel to every region. Just go straight to a region, get the 750. It hopefully recoups the cost of getting there plus a little bit extra. Put whatever extra there is down, even if it's a small amount, and then immediately go to the next place and just capture every single welcome bonus. Basically travel around the country for free, capturing every single region that you can, and force the other team to play catch up. Because now, when
Yeah.
they travel to recapture your region, because even if it's $1 down, it's still your region until they come and reclaim it, or put their own money down. But they are going to have to pay for their way to get across, which means they're going to have to stop and do challenges in between. Whereas you got to just hop from place to place because of the welcome bonus. And while they're doing that, you can go back to where they started and start to recapture wherever they go. And I feel like that would be a very good strategy.
So I agree with you. I think I also liked Ben and Adam's strategy, right? To go somewhere maybe that's really hard to get to
Mhm.
as well, because they end up going to Hobart, which is in Tasmania. And Sam did have this line where he said, it's really expensive to
Mhm.
go everywhere, and sometimes it's not even worth the bonus. I'm just having a hard time feeling that that's true because 750 seems to be a lot of
Well
money.
well, that's the thing, even if the bonus doesn't recoup the entire cost,
Mhm.
if anything, that makes it more valuable to have gone there with the bonus, because now it's going to be that much more prohibitive for somebody else to go and reclaim it.
Yeah.
Even if it's cheap for them to recapture, it's so expensive for them just to get there. Whereas you got to basically go there for free,
Mhm.
or close to it. And so, yeah, I feel like the welcome bonus really adds an angle to the strategy that I think really rewards aggression.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very much agree. And that's why if we were, just based on money alone, aggressive has won currently, right? Where Adam and Ben, I mean, are killing it with how much money
Mhm.
they're betting and what they're doing. So I think currently aggression pays, but I was listening to their podcast, and they were saying that patience comes in handy, apparently. For, foreshadowing, I don't know what that means, but that's all they said, and that Google Flights apparently is a big issue.
Yeah, they
What
talked about that.
Yeah, because what happened on the episode, which we see with Ben and Adam, right? Google Flights shows something, and then Virgin Australia apparently, alleged is the issue.
Mhm.
They're not, maybe honoring what's on Google, whatever that may mean, third party sites, et cetera, et cetera. So that seems to also be another unwanted game mechanic.
Mhm. Yeah, which, yeah, that's that's I feel like that's not uncommon for
I know, right? I was
shady business practices from airlines, what?
Especially on Google Flights, because the more you look at it, I swear the more it goes up, and then, right,
Mhm,
depending on the day you book, like, blah, 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 you just gotta sweet talk the agents. I feel like I'm talking to the agents and being like, "How do I get the multi-city route for
mhm,
cheapest? Can you help me out that I'm doing this crazy thing?" Because that's what they say, Ben and Adam end up doing, and that's how
mm.
they got the cheaper flight, lots of hoops were
So
jumped.
it's like Chipotle, you can't order online, you have to go and
Yeah.
watch them make your burrito,
Yeah, it's
otherwise
not
they'll
Burger King, cannot
they'll
have it your way.
alright, anything else from this first episode we should talk about?
No, I this just felt really, again, exciting. I love this show and I love them, so I'm excited that they're back, and Toby's back. Listen, I'm math girly. I love this. I'm so excited because I feel like, has a plan for the
Mm,
finale, right? She said, "Last day, we have to have 5,000 so that we can, like you said, hop around
mhm.
everywhere." So let's see how this turns out. I'm fingers crossed for my girl Toby to take this.
I mean, listen, I think, she's the secret weapon there
Yes.
on Sam's team that I think could really, get around the Ben and Adam blockade.
Right? Oh my god. Also, Sam has lived in Sydney, and, Toby, of course, is from New Zealand, but lived in Sydney as well, and what I found really, which obviously has helped them with the food task that they had to
Mhm,
complete. I don't know how she got all them 3 things together, but I don't know that I've ever had tuna, chocolate, and or Cadbury, right, specifically, and, Vegemite together, so I think all of this is just gonna lead to a lot of really funny things because, Sam just sometimes just be moving in a way, and he needs his partner, I think, to reel him in.
Well, I think the thing that sometimes undermines, Ben and Adam's success is that like, they have some hubris.
Yes.
Sometimes, like, they get a little ambitious, like, they're like, they really wanna do something grand,
Mhm.
and then sometimes that doesn't quite work out,
Yeah.
but sometimes it
Agreed.
does.
Yeah. I just I it's so funny because I don't wanna spoil the other seasons, but that's where you really see this coming to fruition, and I think that's where the strategy living piece of it all, because we know how each person now, right? We've watched 10
Mm,
seasons, so we know how each person acts, so we know that X person is definitely gonna probably make these moves versus, Y person, and Sam's variability is the guest as well, so
mhm,
I always say that, oh, he needs a guest that, is just that he has a good relationship with, and it's usually his friends, but still good relationship and they're strong to be like, you're going crazy. Come back. Come here. Come here. Come this way. Not that way. So it's just I think it's gonna be a really fun season and Australia is huge. So I can't wait to see how it all comes out.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll be back next week. We'll talk about episode 2. These will drop. Basically, how the show is released is that the episode will come out a week early on Nebula, but we will release these podcast slash reaction recaps, whatever you want to call them, on YouTube and on the podcast feed when the episode drops on YouTube. So for this week, that is today, if you're watching it today, and we'll be back the following week when episode 2 hits YouTube. So tune in for all of that. If you want to check out our other reality television coverage, Survivor is ending today if you're watching this on the release day.
Yeah.
But Big Brother's coming up in a couple months and we've got other stuff going on. So you can always find us doing stuff over there. You can find me on Twitch watching these shows and hanging out and discussing them. And Sasha, what do you got going on?
Yes. You can also follow me on Twitter at funsize_04 to see everything else, all the other reality TV I'm talking about. I talk Below Deck. I talk pop culture, celebrities, vibes only on Mess Magnets, on RHAP as a website /mess feed. For everything else, just follow me on Twitter so you can keep up. This was so much fun, Taran. And
Yes.
let us know what we should be covering. And did y'all enjoy this? Because we're trying something out, but we love it, so we hope you do too.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.